Say hello to my Cindra 3-in-1 Budget Bridge Champion deck. Hello and welcome to the table, and like all good 3-in-1 Legos from years past, I got 3 different versions of the same deck. Choose which one you want to build the best. If you want the budget deck to end all budget decks, I got the deck for you. If you want a bridge deck that's better than the budget deck, stronger than the budget deck, that can also compete at armories, but is not as expensive as the champion deck, I got an option for you. And if you want the champion deck, the best deck of the decks, then I got an option for you. So, to kick things off, let's talk about Cindra, Draconic Retribution, and what she does in the game plan of the deck. So to start things off, again, Cindra, Royal Draconic Ninja Hero, so you got access to tons of stupid things. 4 intellect, 40 health. Whenever you hit a marked hero, you create a fealty token, which basically you can pop it to make one of your next attacks Draconic, which is great. It has a once per turn instant for 3 resources. You can equip up to 2 Draconic daggers from your graveyard, and this ability costs 1 less to activate for each Draconic chainlink you control. The game plan of the deck centers around this guy, Kunai of Retribution. A 1-powered, 1-cost weapon attack with Go Again. It's a one-handed weapon, so you got 2. And basically, all you're wanting to do with this is attack with it, and then when the combat chain closes, you destroy it, and then just play enough Draconic stuff to activate Cindra's ability, re-equip them, and attack with them again. It's very simple. It's just play things like Brand with Cinderclaw to ensure that all of your stuff is going to be Draconic. Cards like Ronin Renegade, and then extend the chain with cards with conditional Go Again, like Burning Blade Dance, which you can use to throw a Kunai of Retribution without having to actually close the combat chain. Or you can attack with something like a Demonstrate Devotion, which, so long as you have so many Draconic chain links, it gets to Go Again, and can create fealty tokens that then allow you to ensure that all your stuff is Draconic, so you can use Cindra's ability, so you can use Kunai. And once all that's said and done, you've done all your shenanigans, you want to have some kind of chain ender, so Art of Dragonfire, which is not Draconic, but thanks to cards like Demonstrate Devotion that make fealty tokens, or Brand with Cinderclaw that we got the full rainbow of, this can be Draconic, and then, because it's a 1-for-5 that also on attack deals 2 more to the opponent's face. So 2 guaranteed damage, and then 5 more that they gotta deal with. Insane Ender. Lava Burst can be a 0-for-5. Silver Talons can be basically a 0-for-5. And then Snatch can be a 0-for-4. That can, with something like a Snapdragon Scalers, allow you to extend the combat chain more, or if you don't want to pop the Scalers, you can just arsenal whatever card you draw. And yeah, this deck is insanely powerful. If you need a chain ender, you can pop the Mask of Pouncing Lynx, get one of your 2 copies of Lava Burst. If you need another resource, because there are 12 blues and 3 yellows in the deck, but sometimes you're not always going to have the resource, you got Blossom of Spring. If you need Go Again on one of your unconditional or conditional Go Again cards, Snapdragon Scalers. If you need, in a pinch, to throw one of your daggers to push that much more damage, Danger Digits. And this deck revolves all around one card, besides the Kunai, but one card in the main deck, Spreading Flames. That on those massive, gigantic combo turns where, especially if you can align it with something like a Wrath of Retribution, you can just deal so much damage, you might just kill the opponent in one turn. And I know that up here, it says $60, that's with shipping, and a lot of these cards are commons and rares. The only Majestics are Mask of Pouncing Lynx and Spreading Flames in the whole deck, so very inexpensive deck outside of just a couple of Majestics. And I mean, it's just perfect for the beginning player. And for the sideboard, if you need it, those 2 of Chain Enders, Art of the Dragon Claw, Art of the Dragon Scale can be 2 Chain Enders that also allow you to have some more disruption if you need that in certain matchups. Fate Foreseen, Sink Blow, just great defensive options if you need a more mid-rangey game plan. And then Salt the Wound, just another card that if you need more resources into a matchup, that requires you to have some Arcane Barrier. This card can be very helpful for that as a good pitch card, but also a good chain ender that is searchable off of the Mask of Pouncing Lynx. So overall, this budget Cindra deck, even though it's only $50 without shipping, it is just absurdly good. It can really crush at armories. I mean, the amount of damage that this kind of deck can deal is just absurd. And if you are a budget player and you want a good budget deck that can compete, this is one of the best decks out there to do that right now. But if you are willing to spend a little bit more money and you want to add some more of Cindra's Majestic staples and other generic staples, then let's go to the bridge version and talk about that. This says $110. That is with shipping, but it's $100. It's actually less than without shipping. And there isn't a lot of change in the deck. I mean, there is to a point. You're cutting the 3 copies of Lava Vein Loyalty, Mounting Anger, Ronin Renegade, Silver Talons, and then 1 copy of Brain with Cinder Claw Yellow. So you're cutting a bunch of reds and some yellows. But then you're adding Ancestral Empowerment, which is just an absolutely absurd reaction to if you need to get those on hits with the Demonstrate Devotion, the, well, I guess those cards, Display Loyalty and Demonstrate Devotion, when they attack, they make fealty, so I guess it doesn't matter in that sense. But for Hot on Their Heels, which is an on-hit, and the other one, Mark with Magma, to make sure that you can push those on-hits to mark the opponent, make the fealties, Ancestral Empowerment can be very helpful in that sense. Very powerful card. In addition, Blood Runs Deep is also in the deck, which is basically just a better version of Burning Blade Dance. Burning Blade Dance can throw one of the daggers, but it can't throw both. And this card has Unconditional Go Again and can throw both daggers. And that just allows you to do such insane power turns, especially in combination with Spreading Flames that I've talked about already. In addition to that, there's also Ignite getting added to the deck. And this card, honestly, is just so broken in this deck. If you need less, like, if you are kind of stuck on resources, this card can start the ball going. 0 cost, 2 attack, go again. It can start the ball, make your next thing cost 1 less, either to activate if it's a dagger, or if it's one of the 1 cost cards in the deck, like Mark with Magma, or if you don't have enough chain links, Blood Runs Deep, boom. You can play an Ignite into a Blood Runs Deep. Now, how often are you going to do this? I don't know, but if you need it, you need it. And this card, Ignite, can allow you to do that. In addition, Ravenous Rabble is also being added to the deck. Now, I didn't want to add this in the other version of the deck list because there just need to be more Draconic cards with Unconditional Go Again. And there was a few too many cards that could make this card cost or attack for 4 or 3 damage. But now after cutting one of the copies of Brain with Cinder Claw Yellow and having a lot more Unconditional Go Again in the Blood Runs Deep and the Ignite, we can run Ravenous Rabble and just push that much more damage and have to rely less on having chain closers like Art of the Dragonfire, Lava Burst, Snatch, which are still in the deck, but I could cut the Silver Talons to allow you to just push more damage more often. So yeah, this version of the deck, very similar, also has the exact same sideboard, but it's so much better because of the Blood Runs Deep and the Ignites and the Ancestral Empowerments. It basically allows the consistency of damage that was pretty high in the budget version, but now just makes it that much more consistent with more card drawing, more cost reduction, and more ways to throw your daggers to push that much more damage. But if you want the absolute best deck, the absolute best version of this deck with the most consistency possible, I got the champion version of the deck for you, which is a complete overhaul, kind of, on the equipment, the sideboard, and a little bit of the main deck. But mostly the sideboard and the equipment. That is the main thing that this deck struggles at when it comes to a budget version. It's good. The equipment suite is pretty solid, especially the Mask of Pouncing Lynx, but the sideboard is a bit lacking. So I got this version to fix that. Now this version is $700 without shipping for the, it's very expensive. But it got the Blossom of Spring, Danger Digits, Snapdragon Scalers, all cut. The Mask of Momentum is moved to the inventory. The Dragon Power Blue, Lava Vein Loyalty Blue, Silver Talon Blue, all of those are cut. And in a ton of cards, pretty much the entire sideboard is also cut. We got the Art of Dragon Claw and Scale still in the deck. But Loyalty Beyond the Grave instead of the, what's the card? Salt the Wound is in the deck instead to allow you to have more defensive options if you need it. Similarly, I got Shelter the Storm at 2 copies in the deck instead of 3 copies of Fate Foreseen. Got 2 copies of this to allow you to just have a little bit more flexibility in that sense. And then Mask of Pouncing Lynx, again, move to the inventory. If you need it in matchups where you need to find something like a Lava Burst, then boom, Mask of Pouncing Lynx there for you. In addition, you can search Ignite off of Pouncing Lynx, which is pretty powerful. But the main thing that's getting massive upgrades is the equipment suite. I mean, look at this. Mask of Momentum allows you to threaten a card draw pretty much every single turn. Because, I mean, the daggers are so efficient to attack with, and this deck is so efficient to attack with. Pretty much the entire deck costs nothing. There are very few cards. I mean, sure, there are some cards like Art of the Dragonfire and Mark with Magma that are always going to cost 1 resource. But a majority of the deck that does cost resources can cost less based on the number of Draconic Chain Links you control, which just makes it that much better. And because of that, Mask of Momentum allows you to threaten the on-hit that much more often. And it blocks for 2 if you need it. Dragon Scalar Flight Path, just a better Snapdragon Scalers basically in this deck. If you use it on a weapon, you can just attack with it an additional time, which can be really good on turns where you're attacking with Spreading Flame, or you play a Wrath of Retribution, which, if I haven't said it enough, this card is absurd in a combo version of this deck. Oh my god. And Mask of Pouncing Lynx can definitely allow you to do that. But in addition to that, Blood Splattered Vest allows you to get more resources more consistently and often than the Blossom Spring. One, this card just doesn't force you to use an action. So like if you forget off the front, then you might just close a combat chain in and you screw up your Kunai Retribution, kind of overpowered turns. But Blood Splattered Vest just allows you to get 3 resources over time, or 2 resources over time, and block with it for 1 once. So yeah, just really good. And of course, the best card in the entire deck, Flick Knives. This is the MVP of the Cindra deck. This, every single turn, throwing one of your daggers for 1 damage, and then re-equipping them with Cindra, and then it's just like you can just throw your daggers so often at the opponent and deal 2 damage with one of the daggers every single turn, that much more often than you otherwise would. This card, simply put, is just broken in this deck. It is so absurdly broken. And speaking of which, let's go to the blues. Knives Out. I mean, if you got like Spreading Flames, Wrath of Retribution going on, and you don't need resources really, Knives Out, perfect blue. And then Prowess of Agility can just be it can be a good card that just allows you to get a little bit more fuel to add to the fire, that if you need it, I mean, it's just another card to work with in ninjas. Generally, it's pretty strong. And then Throw Dagger, basically just like a free Flick Knives activation. In addition, you get to draw a card, so again, more fuel to the fire. It just allows you to do that much more. And like Flick Knives, you're throwing a dagger, you're dealing a damage to the opponent, and then you can use Blood Splattered Vest to get a resource. And oh, by the way, you can get multiple resources off of this in a turn. So, if you got a Reds only hand, it just makes it that much easier for you to play your whole hand, even if you got cards with resources, or you want to use Kunais of Retribution and not have to pitch a single thing. So yeah, this deck, simply put, is broken. Its game plan is very simple, very easy. If you're a new player, perfect budget deck to pick up if you want to play the budget version. And all the way up to the most competitive Flesh and Blood veteran, it is still an absurdly powerful deck. It's not nearly as powerful as Zen, but it is a lot more fair version of Zen, and I believe it's one that's going to be sticking around for a while. So for you budget players, for you competitive players, and for those of you casual like me in between, perfect options that compete at the Armory all the way up to the champion level, pro level events. So anyways, with all that aside, hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope that all of you Cindra fans now got some option, no matter who you are, to pick up and build and love and enjoy this deck. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and see ya Sunday, where I will be uploading Arachne Marionette 3-in-1 Budget Bridge Champion deck.